Hello, everyone. Hello, Leader Biz community or Biz Leader community. My dyslexic just kicked in. Which way does it go? Welcome to our conversations with our multi authors. And it has been such a journey to know that I am not alone and not being like, oh, I want to write so bad. Getting into this. So today I want to introduce you to my beautiful friend Kristina, who is participating in another multi-author book that is also being head up by our partnership publisher Elise Lee Publishing. And this multi-author book that you've got going on is a little bit geared more towards brave actions or brave decisions that you've made, which always kind of fits into the realm of leadership and courage and things like that. Tell me, like, what intrigued you when you saw it first posted up? Like, what intrigued you to want to join? Like, what was the thing?
Okay, we are obviously in a community of women, right?
Mhm.
And they're very powerful women, and we all have to make big decisions that affect not just us personally, but if we've got families, it affects our families as well.
Yeah.
And I also feel that we all need to be connected in some way to
Mm.
empower each other. I've because of the journey that I've been on the last 9 years of my life, it's kind of like I want to help others step into their purpose and
Mm.
and and help them see a bigger picture because maybe they were at the place that I was at when I first began this journey. And I
Mhm.
want them to know if you surround yourself with the right people, you believe in yourself. You might have others believe in you before you believe in you, but you're surrounded by people, women who are empowered and can help build you up, lift you up. And I just really immediately, when Kristen had mentioned it, I'm like, I'm so in. I'm so down with it. And I think I might have been the first person who had reached out to her, and I was like, I'm down. Like, sign me
Okay,
up,
so
sister.
you're so in because like writing is your thing, like you wanted to be a writer, like what?
No, not at all.
Not the writing part because that's a big part of it.
No.
So you see this, you see her talking about it and you're like, "Ooh, I want to contribute a chapter into this
Right.
multi-author book." But it because you felt the need to write your story, or was it more the writing part may be challenging, but I just want to share my story?
Sharing, really.
How is the writing going? Like, share with some
Well,
because there might be some women watching right now going, "Gosh, that sounds so amazing, but I'm not a strong writer," or I just
I am strong with words.
okay.
Okay. Okay. But also, when I was younger, I was a good sprinter, but not a good long distance runner. Okay. So, like, I can write a little blurb. I got you. I can help you. I got me. I can write it like, but when you tell me 3,000 words, I'm gonna need some help. But I wanted my story to get out there. Okay, and the
Yeah.
other part, and I know I'm not alone in this, and I know somebody watching is probably feeling this right now, going, "Oh, but I don't wanna write about myself." No, I don't either. I don't either. I just don't. But I know that my story is powerful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I just tell it? Can I
That's
do an audiobook?
that's such a conflict because like we you have a story to tell, but then writing it. But I think that's the part that's sort of therapeutic, don't you think? Like for somebody who's not ready to write a book, but
Right.
needs to kind of get in the habit of writing their story. This is
Let me
this is a great place to start.
100%, because maybe you're in a place that you're not feeling up to, you're not feeling empowered, or maybe you feel stuck, or you might feel, ask me how I know this, right? Because as I was writing out my story and I was getting into it, I'm like, why do I feel this way sometimes when I was that and I got myself from that to this? I'm a
Mm,
badass.
wow. What a great
So,
self-assessment.
yeah, I mean, it really does. When you are, and I don't even, it's very hard for me to really go into like giving myself kudos,
Mhm.
because I'm one of those people, like, all you and I've talked before, it's like I make a decision to for something, and then it's like I'll figure out how to get there at a, like, I'll figure it out later, but this is what I want. And
Yeah.
so that kind of like with the chapter, with the book, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. How am I going to get there? I don't know, but I'll do it.
So
So,
for you ladies out there who's like, "Yeah, I'm all in," but then it's like the actual action of it, because do you think it's because it does take time to kinda muster the emotions that were there when you're telling the story, right? Because you're not in the story anymore. The story you're telling, it's not like, well, is it?
right.
Is it? So it's not your current life anymore. Do you feel like that's kind of the challenge? Because you kind of have to go back and revisit that emotion and be like, oh, I'm so
No,
over it. Or
okay. So you know that I don't deal well with emotions. However, it's like you it's for, this is just me personally. I don't know about anybody else out there, but for me personally, it is like I have never been one, like I couldn't, when I would have trophies or whatever, they weren't displayed.
oh,
If I thought I was getting too big for my britches, I was put in my place really quick. Um,
mm,
so I'm not a celebrator. I don't celebrate. So, it is hard for me to, it's not hard. Like I get excited for others, but I'm not one of the rah-rah people. I'm not one of those big cheerleader people. And
mm,
it's like when I reach something, I'm on to the next. So
yeah.
it was really, what I had to do was just start. And then once it's kind of like, I don't know if, well, I don't knit, but like if I were a knitter, you like start, right?
Your
And then
analogies
it's
are hilarious. I'm a sprinter, now you're a knitter.
right. Well, I really did run. Knitting's not my thing. But it's like you start with something and then it just starts to develop. And that
Mhm.
was what I had to decide my starting point, where the impact of where I started. Well,
Mhm.
not where I started, but the one moment where I had to reflect on where I started, because my journey began, and I just like it just like happened, like I just went with it and I rode the wave, and it was like I made the achievement that literally hundreds of thousands of people in in my business, in my industry, wish that they could get. And here I'm standing there getting ready to receive an award. And then as I'm standing there, I was like, I remember kind of running backwards in my head. Like, I remember 3 years ago, that I couldn't afford to go to a Christmas bazaar. And here
Mm,
I was getting a millionaire award,
yeah.
and 3 years prior, I didn't know how the groceries were going to be uh, put in the cupboard. I was at
Yeah.
the risk of losing my house, and here I was getting ready to walk across the stage. So
Wow. Yeah.
when you start to write that, you can't help but get in your feels. Like you get
Yeah.
all up in your feels. And then, but then what I started doing is I started reading through what I had written, and I'm like, man, I am kind of a badass. I had to turn into a warrior. Like I
I
really had to turn into a warrior.
Yeah, and I love how, and I think it's the plight of so many women where when we're in the journey, we're not recognizing our strength and
Right.
our courage and our bravery. And it's not until afterwards and some in an opportunity like this to like share your story, you're reflecting on it going, wow, I've been so much more than I've ever felt, and I did it. I did it. I accomplished it.
100%.
I got there. And then, so what am I doing now? Right? Kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that's, I
100%.
feel like, so would you recommend this opportunity to, now you're an entrepreneur and
Mhm.
you have really taken yourself from 0 to 1 million on your own as a single mom with kids. And there's some women out there that say to me, you know, my story isn't all that. Like, I don't know. I really want to do it, but I don't think my story is great. What would you say, like, to a woman that's kind of thinking that, but really want to share their story? Like, do you recommend something like this?
100%. Because maybe you think that your story isn't all that, but to someone else, it's everything. Like to someone
Mm,
else reading it, they relate to like I
good.
can I share with something with you something I remember, just like what you said, when we're in the journey and we're in it, we're not recognizing what it's really taking. We're just doing it. Like
Yeah.
we just do. It's like, okay, here's the situation. We're gonna handle it, and I'm handling it, and I'm handling it. You just handle it. You do what you got to
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
And I remember that when I was invited to be on a call, on a big corporate call, and I just shared my story. And I even said, I'm like, oh, you know, my story, it's not that okay, I'll share it. But to me, and I think because I lived it, it wasn't
Right.
all that. And
Right.
I shared it. And then I get off I hang up from the call, and I had texted my leader, and I was like, I hope that was okay. And she's like, are you kidding me? Are you not seeing like the conversation that's being had? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And people like they're the, oh, I'm in tears, and oh, this is so inspiring. And so your story is everything to somebody else,
Oh,
because
that is so good.
somebody needs to hear your story, because somebody out there is where you were, and they want to be where you're at now.
Oh,
They want to know how you did it,
yeah.
because they can do it too. Because
Right.
we're all we all have it in us. We just
Mhm.
have to find it. There's some of us that, it's like we're forced into it. Like,
Right.
myself, I'm like, holy crap, I've got to, like, I don't have a choice. Boom. And I take off
Right.
running because I have to. And somebody else, and a really good friend of mine and mentor, she always says, and I use this so much because at first it didn't make sense to me. And then when I heard it, it clicked. Who loses if you don't win?
Right. Wow.
And it's so powerful because
Yeah.
if you give up, then who
Right.
could you have impacted? If
Right.
you don't share your story, who could you have impacted with that story?
Wow.
I
Right. It's like
guarantee
that.
there's going to be more than one person.
Yeah. It's like that movie, that old age, like, go-to movie. It's in black and white. It's called A Wonderful Life, and it
Love
really
it.
shows what would happen if he was never born. If he was
Right.
never born, like, all of the things, all of the domino effect of not having shown up or not being who he is. And so I am gonna put this out there. Your story is everything to someone else. That is
Yeah.
such a powerful statement. and why, as women, we have to share our stories. It's time. It's time to be seen. It's time to be heard. And it's time for us to collaboratively and collectively do this and get out there. Well, thank you so much for your time, because now as a single mom, she's gotta go get her kids, go to basketball.
We got basketball.
Well, thank
Gotta
you
go
so
to
much.
a game.
And we cannot wait to read your chapter when this book comes out. Thank you. And again, come back tomorrow for another interview with another multi-author contributor. Until next time, everyone. Bye.
All right. Thanks for having me.